This week we are looking at color relativity. This basic diagram kind of breaks down what's happening with color relativity in relation to hue, value, and saturation. And this is all kind of explained in the lecture. You can kind of look over it, but this kind of just summarizes it quickly, kind of quick reference. So we're going to go ahead and look at this image I have posted in the classroom. And the first step, we'll go ahead and, let's look at saturation first. So this is the quote from the lecture saying what happens with saturation. Basically, it's inverse reaction where, if the saturation's higher on the outside, the interior square will look lower in saturation, and if the outside saturation is lower, then the interior will look higher. This is a good method to kind of use when we're trying to make colors look different, is using these alternate backgrounds. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at some of these. So in the interior here, we have, this is not fully saturated. It's very high in saturation. We can see it here by the S&B values as we looked at last week. 100% in each of these represents a fully saturated hue. And this one's a little lower. So this is kind of, applies for assignment 2 and 3. Both of this is all the same information. We're just using it in different ways. So the idea here is, with this fully saturated background, we're trying to make this center, which is less saturated, appear closer in saturation to this right center, which is even lower in saturation. Now, saturation isn't something we can easily identify with the numeric values as we've done with hue and value and things in previous weeks. But in this case, and what I'd like to see in the assignment is something that's clearly less saturated. So as we look at the left center again, we can see this. We have S&B values 80, 95 respectively, and in the right center, these are lower. It's 70 and 85 here. So there's a clear, attempt to make the saturation lower here. There's no kind of mix. There's no kind of it's no wavering on what we're trying to do. It's a clear intention that this is to be the right center is to be less saturated. And with the right background, we can again see that it's even lower in saturation, which is why that this right center should appear higher in saturation, trying to push the saturation closer to each other. And I'll post this in the classroom I do with the other assignments, so you can see, kind of what's going on with the saturation. But this is the two basic, effects. Is a higher saturation makes it appear lower, and a less saturated background makes the center appear higher. That's pretty straightforward. And the kind of the same applies here when we switched over to value. We can see here in our samples that, this is a darker value than this one, and to kind of help correct this, looking at assignment 3, we use a darker value in the background here to help this one appear lighter, and in this one we use a lighter background to help this one appear darker. And this one is a clear measurement. We can kind of see quickly. We don't need to switch to the grayscale if we use the color, the grayscale slider here. So we can go ahead and do that for you and let you see it better. The B value also works well for kind of just assessing a gray. So again, you can see these differences. They're pretty clear. So we'll go ahead and move on to hue, and this is kind of where people kind of stumble a little bit on this assignment. And with this assignment, I want to stress that you want to be clear with your intentions. You have a written component to write what your intentions are, but you also want to be clear in what you're doing with your hue, and that's when something like being distinct with about 15 degrees and separation hue will help. I have this little file here we kind of look at, and it shows these subtle variations don't work as well in this one. If you have 9 degrees here and then switching out to 0 degrees there, that 9 degrees is very hard to tell. And when working with color relativity, we do not have a one-to-one relationship. So we kind of want to make a significant enough difference to kind of support what our intentions are. So kind of quickly going back here and looking at the hues, we have the subtraction. These are orange, and basically, yellow, orange, or red, orange. The yellow is trying to subtract, yellow aspects of the yellow orange, pushing it towards a central orange or a red orange. The red is subtracting itself, pushing this red orange to a central orange, yellow orange, where they'll meet. And the other aspect of this is where complements add hues. So in this case, we have the hue 240, which is blue. It's adding the complement, which is yellow, which will help this move to a central orange. The cyan's going to add its complement, which is red, making this more of a an orange. And you can mix this up some. So hopefully this gets us started on color relativity. Let me know where we're at, and we can talk about it some more. Thanks.